I don't know if Chip Patterson decorates for Halloween, but Cover 3 podcast moderator, my friend Chip Patterson, joins us every Wednesday. Are you a Halloween decorator? First of all, do you and the fam have costumes?
Ooh, not like a group costume.
Okay.
So, everyone's kind of on their own island on how hard you want to go with it. I may be guilty of, is that a costume, or did you just find something in your closet that can like roughly pass as a costume?
Is that you or somebody else that had found something in a closet that could roughly pass as a costume?
Right. Like I don't think I'm going to a store between now and October 31st to go and purchase a costume that will be immediately recognizable.
Gotcha.
Is that fair?
I'm thinking about a neck brace and maybe just put some red all over my face and become Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Petrino is a great one. It's that Sugar Bowl hat, which is the real cherry on top right there.
How is he still in college football?
What? I mean, having a position in college football, why
anywhere,
not?
Right?
A position in college football, sure. There's a long run of evidence at multiple stops, at multiple levels, in multiple different conferences that say, certainly better than his NFL history. If the man's if he cannot stop coaching, college football does seem to be the place where the more wins and the most success have come. Real quickly though, we were the first on the street. And it was because, I think we were, weeks. It was September 15th.
Really?
It was definitely, because it was a work day. And Parker said, hey, me and the boys need something to do today. And they're excited about Halloween. So I'm going to need you to get up to that attic, bring down the Halloween box.
We've done that.
While you're on CBS Sports HQ and watching football all day, we're going to be hanging the big old rope spider web off the corner of the house.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
we had that. We don't have the inflatables out yet because you got to monitor the weather for those.
True.
Right? And so right now it's just a lot on the covered porch, in the windows, around the inside, and then the big spider on the rope web that is that's hanging from the corner of the house. Right.
You are much more attention to detail than Keegan Bradley. If we have time, we'll talk about the debacle at Bethpage. All right, Chip. Let's start with North Carolina and Clemson. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to ask it this way because there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. Relative to expectations, which team has been more disappointing?
Oh, the Clemson Tigers. I think that's without a question.
Okay.
Yeah. I think 1-3, 0-2 in the ACC, an offense that is dreadful.
Yeah.
A defense that has underperformed compared to top 5 preseason ranking, picked to win the ACC, heavy favorite to win the ACC. They are farther off their mark than North Carolina, which at 2-2 has not played an ACC game yet. And look, neither one of these teams has a win against a power conference opponent.
Right.
Combined, that's a 0. But North Carolina has lost to a TCU team that could win the Big 12.
Right.
And the UCF loss was bad for sure.
Yeah.
But the idea that this team could navigate through the rest of its schedule, the ACC portion, win 4 games, lose 4 games, doesn't seem, I wouldn't bet on it, but it doesn't seem like all hope is lost. And I think no one put North Carolina in the ACC title game.
Correct.
I think a lot of people, because of the schedule, figured that North Carolina would be a bowl team. So in terms of being a bowl team versus contending for an ACC title, Clemson is way off mark for contending for an ACC title. North Carolina, coming out of the off week, still has opportunities to steady the ship, go 500 in conference play, and finish at 6-6.
See, the problem with North Carolina winning 4 games in the league is that at the beginning of the season, we thought the schedule was very easy. And now that we are into the season, I would point out that obviously Clemson won't be easy for North Carolina. It won't be easy for anybody. They weren't easy for Georgia Tech or somewhat easy for Syracuse. but Cal won't be easy out there. Virginia won't be easy. Syracuse won't be easy. Duke and State won't be easy. So I'm not sure I see 4 wins for Carolina, but it's also not out of the realm of possibility that they win 4 times. But I have a hard time closing my eyes and seeing anything significantly better than 4.
But you would say that North Carolina is like North Carolina 4-8, 5-7, do like probability wise look like more likely records at the end of this. But North Carolina flipping a couple of those games to get to 6-6 seems more likely than whatever Clemson. Like, I mean, whatever Clemson would be able to do to be able to come anywhere close to the expectations that come with being the 4th team in the AP preseason top 25 poll.
Unfortunately, Clemson's ceiling right now is like my crawl space. It's there's a part of the house where you can actually stand up. Right?
It is similar to 2023. The best thing that Clemson can do is win out the rest of the way, go win the Gator Bowl, and try to use that as a building block. But even that, I think, is going to be difficult because one of the reasons why everyone liked this Clemson team so much was all the 2026 NFL draft picks that were on the roster. And while you can, as a college football analyst, I can argue they have not played to those projections. A lot of times those NFL guys don't care. If you got the bodies, if you've got the tools.
They've been told.
Go look at Shamar Stewart, right? Yeah. He had like 3.5 career sacks at Texas A&M, still ends up being a first-round draft pick to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, but he was taken by the Bengals, so that's,
But my point is that, whether you're talking about a TJ Parker or a Peter Woods or an Avion Terrell or, like any of these other players that I think, have been a part of a defense that has not been what I expected. They're still very good players individually who can have good pro careers.
Yeah.
So that means that Clemson, no matter what happens at the end of this year, I don't think that there's going to be momentum carryover because they're just going to have a huge flip of the roster.
Chip Patterson joining us as he does every Wednesday, Cover 3 podcast moderator, and, of course, CBSSports.com. I want to step outside the league for a second. I watched the Penn State-Oregon game, which was super boring early and then got exciting later, and we went overtime, blah, blah, blah. And
let's not blah, blah, blah that. If you had the under 52.5 and that thing goes to overtime at 17-17, that's a kick right to the groin. But I don't like to be that guy.
I understand.
Just, just throwing that out there.
I understand.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. It's a very good point because I'm trying to think of the game where I also was upset about that because I had the under. I guess I don't remember, but the same thing happened. I'm like,
I'm going to ask CBS Sports and Research. It feels anecdotally like we've had a lot of overtimes so far in the early part of the college football season. So we'll see if that's just the way it feels. But whether it's Army, North Texas, whether it is, the overtimes that we've gotten along the way elsewhere, it feels like we've gotten a lot.
So I want to ask big picture about this, and we have no way of knowing because the college football playoff committee has not yet met. But we went into this season saying Penn State's got a 3-game season. Home against Oregon, at Ohio State. And actually, I think we said it was a 2-game season because at the beginning of the season, Indiana was still cute, but who knows? Well, Indiana looks like they're legit. They certainly, if you ask Brett Bielema at Illinois, he'll probably tell you, oh yeah, they're legit, and that's fine. They're 8th in the country right now, according to the rankings. So we'll say Penn State's got a 3-game schedule. If they don't win at Ohio State, let's just say they beat Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
What's the real case for them as a playoff team? Because if they lose at Ohio State, they're not in the Big Ten title game.
Words that the Southeastern Conference knows very well, Adam. They are quality loss.
They are a quality loss, Penn State.
No, that if the Ohio State game is close,
right,
and if the Oregon game is close, and they've got 10 wins on the resume, then you just asked for me the argument, not what I think. But the argument is that if this team won 10 of their 12 games and the only losses were in double overtime to a team that I assume will be playing for the Big Ten title, And again, in this hypothetical, a close game against another team that would be playing for the Big Ten title, then that's probably one of the 12, 13, 14 best teams in the country. I don't think they'd be playing a home game in the first round. And, in terms of, unless Penn State really turns things around offensively, if you build the whole plane out of a 2-minute drill, then I'm still not going to think that it's a team that's going to go on a deep run.
Right.
They are an extremely high floor team.
Yeah.
Because of their experience, their talent, their athleticism. But these special difference makers that are required to win the heavyweight bouts need to emerge. And they've got games left. That's the thing that is, it's all there for James Franklin. Because, again, we might have watched the best team. They're up to number 2 in the polls now. But we might have watched the best team in the country go and take control of that game, have a 17-3 lead before they decided to actually have some urgency on offense on the Penn State side. But, that's those, again, quality loss. That would be the argument for a 10-2 Penn State team.
And that would be the argument. And I don't really want to, and I don't think you want to get into the conversation because we can go on forever about it because we talk about it all the time. It would make a mockery of non-conference schedule mattering. So I would just point that out and we can move on from that because, the ACC is going to do a 9+1. And I still think that if just do 9, don't do +1. You could tell your teams, look, we want to have more high-profile games because TV likes them. We want to keep TV happy. So far, TV's been pretty happy with college football. Clemson, for the Syracuse game, was the 4th highest-rated game, maybe the 5th highest-rated game of the weekend 2 weeks ago. And they had however long a rain delay. It ended up on another network, but in the noon window, it was killing it for ESPN. No,
some of the biggest ratings draws are watching the favorites in the ACC lose. 4.4 million people watched Virginia beat Florida State, and they weren't watching because they're Tony Elliott's friends and family.
Huge UVA fans.
Millions and millions of people watched the Georgia Tech Clemson game, and it wasn't because they want to run the ball. Millions of people watched Syracuse take down Clemson. Onside kick after marching it down their throats, disrespecting Howard's Rock, and it wasn't because they wanted Fran Brown to shower on that Saturday night. It is wild, this TV ratings matter world that we're living in, because all it takes is a mild amount of context, and what you are celebrating is everyone in the country watching your brands lose.
That's true. But the larger point about it is that college football has never, in terms of a television property, has never been more popular. And you and I aren't going to talk, and I'm not actually not even going to get into it today, but that SAFE Act, which is going right now, I don't even know if they're going to ever vote on it on Capitol Hill, which to me, having read both, the SAFE Act is way better than the SCORE Act. They're not even in the same ballpark in terms of what is better for the overall sport. They both have some deficiencies, but the SAFE Act would include a breaking down of the current Sports Broadcasting Act, which would ultimately allow college football and maybe force college football to collectively do their television deals, which would bring in more money for everybody. It would be best for the sport of college football, but they won't do it because two leagues would give up power. All right, so let me move on to an actual game, because I said this earlier. Florida State Miami for about 15 years was the best Saturday, the first Saturday in October, and the best college football viewing anywhere. Pros, hatred, craziness. There wasn't anything better than Florida State Miami. We get it. on Saturday. What we don't get is two undefeated teams because Florida State lost to Virginia. Virginia might be good. I don't know. And Florida State maybe not as good as we all thought. What are your thoughts on that game? And is this where Mario Cristobal really, and I'm not doing a negative here, really says to the whole world, we are that good?
I mean, they've got a chance because Miami is better along both lines of scrimmage than Florida State. And that if Miami can force Florida State into obvious passing downs, take the creativity away from Gus Malzahn, Ruben Bain, who, by the way, if fans haven't watched Ruben Bain play the defensive end for Miami, he's one of the best defensive players in the entire country. Yep. Hasn't always been healthy. Blue chip prospect coming out of high school is having a terrific year. Akeem Mesidor as well on the other side. I mean, they are really, really dominant along the defensive line, and that's made the whole defense, which of course was a huge liability last year, a big problem. The offensive line sort of annually there at Miami under Mario Cristobal and his offensive line coach Alex Mirabal have been one of the best in the country, and they just give Carson Beck so much time back there. Miami wants to hold the ball. They want to run the ball. They want to keep Tommy Castellanos limited in his touches. This is the total chaos game. Miami wants to play slow and bruise you and batter you. Florida State wants there to be 13 or 14 possessions in this game and hit a bunch of explosive plays and play up tempo and keep that defense from being able to tee off on you. The difference is in the way these two teams want to play this game is going to create a total chaos environment. I mean, it is going to be a game that is in fits and starts. Yeah. It will be sluggish for a quarter and a half, and then we're going to see 3 touchdowns in 4 minutes. I mean, there's just too much athleticism, too much desperation. It will come down to something dumb. It'll come down to a wide right or a muffed punt. Yeah. Or an interception return touchdown. Or, I mean, it is the kind of game, because these two teams, you mentioned the rivalry. This is the first time they've both been ranked in a decade. I mean, this is like this is the moment for this rivalry. And so I just think that the teams are oil and water stylistically, yet they still both have the potential for, fireworks along the way. Again, if this is who can sit in there and sling the hammers at each other, Miami should be able to control and win this game. But if they allow Gus Malzahn to get in his bag and Tommy Castellanos, and then that defense starts to rise up. When he was playing at home last year, Carson Beck had 21 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. Yep. When he was on the road or in a neutral site environment, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So Carson Beck, in his very first game away from home as a Miami Hurricane, the whoopsie daisies are hiding beneath the surface. Can Florida State bring them to the surface?
And that's the thing. Chip Patterson is joining us here. That's the thing about this Miami team, is that other than maybe the first half, 3 quarters against Notre Dame, we haven't seen good offense from them, right? It's been good enough offense, but it hasn't been good offense. And I would argue that in college football, you have to play great offense to win it all. Not just good. I think the days of relying on your defense and just being good enough offensively, I think those days are over in college football.
Unless your name's Ohio State. But look, we don't need to get too sidetracked.
Okay, if you have that.
Yeah.
If you're not giving up anything, then you don't need a lot.
And if you have Jeremiah Smith. If you are like, I mean, they've got the true Ohio State this year has the true Greg McElroy's their quarterback, but they have Julio Jones and an amazing defense. Ohio State's got.
You can do that with an average quarterback. You can win in college football with just an operator at quarterback. Florida State did it for years. The only all apologies to your friend and mine, Danny Cannell. The only true great player they had at quarterback was Charlie Ward.
Jameis.
Well, I'm talking about the heyday of Florida State.
Oh, the heyday.
Yeah, Jameis was an amazing quarterback in college. Tremendous quarterback in college. But you don't have to have that guy to win big in college football. Alabama won for years with just good players at quarterback. Yeah, they won with great players and future NFL players, but they won for years with just decent players. Hell, Peter Tom Willis won at Florida State. Somebody named that guy. And they normally had guys that just played 1 or 2 years. Thad Busby, who sounds like a middle reliever for the Cleveland Guardians. Chip Patterson is joining us here. Let me get one more national thing in here before I let you go. Notre Dame has the schedule to go 10-2. They've already lost the 2 games. They lost the first 2. They lost to Miami on their field. They lost to Texas A&M in South Bend, 2 probable playoff teams, we think. Right now. I mean, right now I would say Miami's probably a playoff team. Texas A&M right now probably a playoff team, but there's a lot of games to be played.
Yeah, Texas A&M and Miami, 2 programs that have famously never
right, exactly. That's why I said probably.
An appeal in November.
That's why I said probably. Southern Cal might be good, but does Notre Dame have anything else on their schedule? 5 ACC games they have left are not going to beat them over the head. I mean, State might be difficult, only because if you get State on the offensive day, that could be a problem. But if Notre Dame going 10-2, what do you do with that?
You compare them to the other teams,
right?
That's the you're. And if this and this and this and this and this
right.
and this and this and everything that we've seen through 5 weeks of college football says that no one in their right mind can say with any kind of certainty, the way that these things are going to be playing out. I think that the way that the conversation goes for Notre Dame, and even the, most diehard Notre Dame fans understand that they have lost any leverage. Their hope is chaos.
Right.
If 10-2 at the end of the day ends up having them, in that position where there's just not a lot of 10-2 teams or better, then then we can start really nitpicking the arguments of, well, who did these other teams beat? But given the schedule and the absence of significant wins, Notre Dame's argument is not that different than the argument of some of the playoff teams that everybody was screaming about when they didn't win their first round games, including the Indiana team they beat.
Right.
So the path for Notre Dame, well, it's the Indiana path.
Yeah, win them all, and be great at it.
Yeah,
right, and be impressive at it.
That's the other thing is after what they did last year, I kind of think that they've got it in them. I mean,
I think they're good. They're a play away from winning both games.
Well, the other thing, did you see that Marcus Freeman was like running fake punts in the third quarter up 30?
Oh, no, I didn't see that. Good for him.
I think that this is going to be like a NSFW NC-17 rating. Like all of these opponents that are left, there's no reason for Notre Dame not to just put all of these teams in body bags.
You're right. They have to, especially since in many ways that's the reason why Indiana ended up being a playoff team, because they were so super impressive against everybody else they played. All right, final broad question, and we have to go. But Duke's at Cal, Virginia's at Louisville. Of those 4 teams, who comes out of this weekend looking better?
I think Virginia winning at all would have them looking better. So, and I think that's going to happen. So I'm going to say Virginia.
Then we'd all become Tony Elliott fans.
Yeah, it's a little bit of Virginia, and it's a little bit of looking at. Hey, I don't know if you Pitt turned the ball over 4 times.
Yes, Pitt was ahead in that game substantially early.
Louisville had a lot of things break their way to beat Pitt by 7. And
I think you're right, by the way. I think you gave me the right answer. I think Virginia, which I think is going to look back on, how did we mess that up at the end against NC State?
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think Virginia's going to look back on that and go, that was kind of an own goal. And
but it wasn't a conference game. So Virginia, if they can go, if Virginia can start its conference season with wins against Florida State and Louisville, like those are some of the toughest opponents on the conference slate.
No doubt. I'm
not telling you to book hotels in Charlotte yet, Wahoo fans.
They'll just drive down from home. Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator, my friend. I appreciate your time. I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.